Hi, are you a Canadian YouTuber that might have heard about some recent tax changes with Google and YouTube? If so, you might be wondering what you need to do and why. We're going to show you all about that in this video. You might have heard recently from YouTube or from Google that there's been some changes where now YouTube is going to be cracking down or enforcing on some of their tax responsibilities. So you might have been asked for some information related to your filing status, your position, and so you might be wondering, what do I need to do? Well, first off, the reason YouTube is asking for some information from you is because anytime a US company is paying a non-resident, so in this case, you're Canadian, living in Canada, working in Canada, you're non-resident to them. So technically they're required by law to withhold 30% of whatever payments they send out to you as a non-resident, if nothing additional is done. So if you don't provide them any information, if you bill them $1,000 or if you are owed $1,000 from them for, let's say, some ad revenue, instead of getting your full $1,000, they will withhold $300, send that off to the IRS, and then you be giving you the $700 that's left over. So obviously not a good thing. You definitely want to avoid that if you can. What will happen if that happens? It's not the end of the world. You don't completely lose the $300. You would be able to get that back at the end of the year by filing a US tax return and claiming it back there. But now you not only lose the time value of money by having to wait a year or a year and a half to get that $300 back, you also now have to incur the time and probably expense of a professional to file a US return to get that money back, which is now eating more into your profits. We want to avoid that if we can, right? So what are your options? Well, they'll probably be asking you to submit some tax information to them. What that'll look like will be either a W-8 BEN or a W-8 BENE. What's the difference? What form applies to you will depend on what type of tax structure you're operating your business under. So if you are an individual that's operating as a sole proprietorship, then you are an individual, so you would go with the W-8 BEN. If you are incorporated or in some sort of other entity, then you're looking at the W-8 BENE, E standing for entity. So individuals, and then if you're in an entity, BEN-E. Once you've filled out that form and submit that to YouTube, that will allow them to reduce their withholding taxes. So what are you actually putting on the W-8 form? Well, you're gonna have to put all your basic information, your name, identification number. So in this case, if you don't have a US EIN, so employer identification number, you're probably just putting your SIN on there or your Canadian business number. That is information that they require. We've had a lot of our clients kind of calling us recently and asking, well, do I really need to give out that information? That's personal information. They shouldn't need that. They're a US company. Yes, they do need that information and you should be providing that to them. If you don't, then they're going to be doing that 30% withholding tax. Okay? Essentially what you're doing on the W-8 form is you're going to be claiming a treaty benefit. Okay? The treaty benefit is essentially invoking rights that you have based on the treaty between the US and Canada. So as a Canadian resident, Canada and the US is a pretty strong, pretty robust tax treaty that we're able to take advantage of. If you're in Canada operating a business and getting business revenue, so ad revenues from the content you're creating on YouTube, you can elect on the treaty to have the withholding taxes reduced all the way to zero if certain conditions apply. With most of the time, it would apply in the space that you're in. So if that's the case, you claim the treaty, you put that on the W-8, you put the rest of the information, you submit that to YouTube. They now have that on file. That is their COA with the IRS, so that if they, for some reason, weren't withholding the right amount of taxes, they can point to this W-8 form that you provide to them, and then they're kind of off the hook. And now it points the finger to you, but as long as you filled out the W-8 form properly, then you'd have nothing to worry about, right? If it's other type of income, so if you're not, just getting ad revenue, business revenue, you might not be able to reduce the withholding taxes all the way to zero. It might be 10% or 15%. But for what we're talking about right now, it should be 0% most of the time. now you would get the full $1,000 back right away. You don't need to wait till the end of the year, and you'd avoid from having to file any type of US return at the end of the year as well. So that's what, in a nutshell, all these changes are that you might have been seeing recently are referring to, and what you would need to do in order to not pay any more taxes than you need to. Now, the W-8 form can be a little complicated to prepare. That's why you want to talk to your tax professional, somebody who's well aware of cross-border issues and US tax implications of Canadian business owners, to fill that out, to make sure that you're claiming the right treaty benefit and you're doing it properly so that you don't have any withholding taxes or the least amount of withholding taxes applied on your business income. If anybody has any questions whatsoever about how to fill a W-8 form or what exactly their situation requires them to do, we'd be happy to help you. Just reach out to our office and we'll answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.